You ready?
I was born ready.
Are we filming? Did you go and check if we were filming?
Uh-huh.
I heard a beep. Of course we're filming. Shut up. Today's episode of Common Ground, filmed in a different location than ever
Different
before,
day.
with different day, different clothes, is going to be my best episode. I don't know that in advance, but I'm going to say it's going to be our
I'm in
best
it,
episode.
so probably.
Our last episode on Savette was very rambly, and therefore I'm going to try to make this one a little bit more concise, I suppose you'd say, which I'm off to a terrible start. Today's episode is on why you should make friends. I think that when you're traveling abroad, a lot of people are very intimidated by the world. It is pretty intimidating, especially when you go somewhere like Albania. I know that your friends, are asking why would you go there? It's dangerous. There's better places.
Yeah.
It's not really dangerous, but a lot of people have these preconceived notions of a place, much like Cambodia. Cambodia was probably the safest place we've ever been.
One of the safest.
Maybe
felt
not.
like it.
It felt like it. In terms of actual on-the-ground
agree.
comfort, it felt very comfortable. The only danger was the government itself. But I mean, if maybe somebody was going to lift something off us, pickpocket or something like that, but I never felt an actual physical danger.
Well,
And I think that holds back a lot of people, not just from visiting the place, but also trusting the people who they meet there.
yeah.
I would say 95% of people are good everywhere, and 5% are bad. And even in bad countries, I think that number goes up to 7. It's rarely a bunch of bad people in the world, and normally, honestly, you can usually tell in advance.
Are you 5%?
I'm one of the 5%,
Okay.
obviously, yeah. But you can usually tell in advance. You can usually say that person is going to be garbage from a distance. And
But also don't be tricked.
I'm not saying that you should judge every book by its
Absolutely.
cover, but that is how we judge books. That's why books have covers. If you see a guy who just looks like he's waiting to rob you at the Milan
Like
train
the
station,
serial killer
or like
in
the
Easter
serial
Island.
killer in Easter Island, there was a man in Easter Island who we thought looked exactly like a serial killer,
yeah.
so I'm just going to presume he was. But we have made a lot of friends very quickly as well, which I thought was a good learning experience for you as well, traveling the world and seeing just how friendly people are in countries that are very intimidating for, I guess, the non-traveled. And two of those people I want to talk about, one is in Chile, his name's Alejandro, and the other is here in Albania, his name's Ergis. Alejandro ran a little cabin in the woods up on top of Villarrica volcano called Cabanas on Berg.
In Pucón.
In Pucón.
Pucón.
And he's just a fantastic man. His cabins were fantastic. They were exactly what we were looking for. Outside of town, up on a mountain, away from everything, away
One
from
of the
noise.
best places we've been to.
One of the nicest places we've been, for certain. But the best part about it was its owner, Alejandro, who we've stayed in touch with since then, who I'm Facebook friends with now. I'd say he's maybe a 42, 43-year-old man.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
He'd lived in Germany for quite some time. He had some children who still lived in Germany. But he'd sort of wanted to get away from it all. And so he'd started these rental cabins up on this beautiful volcano just off in the woods. And when we arrived there, he just came to be helpful. Like he offered himself. We didn't have to ask him, but also we did have to trust him because he was offering himself in a way that basically put the ball in our court. Do you want to talk? Do you want to have some beers? Do you want to, sit down and just sort of chat it out, which we did, especially since that's sort of how we find our episodes. And not only that, but that area, the drive was not what our Prius that we were renting was up to. Going up those mountain paths with all the rock and gravel and things, we knew we were never going to make it up onto the volcano where we wanted to film.
Yeah.
So making friends is a way, in essence, of getting around that too.
Yeah,
Because we weren't asking Alejandro to help us. We were trying to be nice to him, basically. We were trying to see who this guy was. And we sat down and started discussing stuff. And within like 5 minutes, he said that he was really into astronomy. Just loved the stars. He was talking about all the stars that we could see, pointing out pictures he'd taken of the stars in the past, asking if we wanted to go find some places wherever those stars were visible.
Well, he invited us to go watch the International Space Station going
Yeah,
by.
I think he started by saying, "Do you want to, like a little secret? Do you want to see the International Space Station?" Which I found kind of funny. So I said, "Well, my father is an astronaut who commanded that thing," and I showed him the Canadian $5 bill. My father's sort of surreptitiously on the back of that thing. So I take a number of $5 bills with us when we go around, just in case somebody like Alejandro comes across us, who we can then give it to and say, you know, here's a little souvenir of having met us, and we get a little souvenir Polaroid of having met them, and sort of just make that friendship exchange. And he was so excited to find out about Dad and wanted to hear more and talk about that stuff. And from there, we just kept hanging out. He has a wood-fired hot tub, so we got to use the hot tub, which was fantastic.
Amazing.
It's quite cold up on the mountain at night. That was a great time. We'll also put in a little picture of us hot tubbing here, because I think we have some.
We do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but so from there, he had this truck that he'd been using, like an old style truck, to go up and down the actual volcano to the very top, because he's a photographer. And he took us up to the top of the mountain where we filmed the Mad King of Arcania.
Yes.
Filmed that at the top where he took us to, which was really, really nice of him.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, we stopped to do stargazing.
We did.
At one of his friends' houses that was basically in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no lights nearby.
With the volcano in the background.
With the volcano in the background. And we got some nice photos, which we put up on our Instagram from there. But beyond that, we just sort of kept in contact. He wrote me a couple days ago. We sent him a book in Spanish. Obviously, he speaks Spanish. So we sent him a book in Spanish that Dad had written, signed by Dad, which he was thrilled to see. Mm-hmm. And then we sent him a link to our video that we filmed with him, which he was also very happy to see. It's just sort of the effect. I believe he's also Mapuche, at least ancestrally.
Well, yeah.
So he was also really happy that we were making videos on Mapuche culture, which
he gave us
we weren't doing
of
because of
a lot
him,
of advice on that as well, or like where to go and what to film and all that.
Yeah, so he connected us with areas that we could go to. If you watch any of our Mapuche videos, every single one of those is filmed because he gave us advice to go there, which is just, it's the whole point of us doing this. I think at the outset when we started filming this, we said what we really want these episodes to show is the connectivity, both bad and good. We're all awful and we're all great. We're all kind of the same.
Well, I guess
honestly.
that the point of the series itself is that traveling and meeting other people is the best thing you can do. And of course, as you said, there are bad people out there, but when you travel, you should be open-minded and trust people and try to make friends, because then it just makes the experience so much better, like with Alejandro or with our kids, for example.
Yeah, and it happens so fast too.
It does. It does.
4 hours, and I feel very strongly connected to certain people, such as Alejandro. And here in Albania, like we've been talking about, there's a man named Ergis who we met in Durrës, maybe 4 or 5 days into our trip here. And he just like Alejandro, we met him through renting one of his places. He runs sort of like an Airbnb situation in Durrës. I think his family's fairly wealthy, but he does this to have his own thing. Yeah. And we sat and chatted with him just generally about what we were doing. He was a really nice guy. I think it was actually driving to go get money to pay for the place. Yes. I told him what we were doing, telling him we were filming documentaries, and his exact response was, "Oh, do you want to wear a communist costume, like an outfit? I collect communist outfits from that era." Yeah. I was like, "Of course. Why wouldn't I want to do? That seems like the coolest thing I could do." So we went up to his apartment upstairs, and he had an outfit that could only have been worn by the fattest communist in Albania. It was huge. It was swimming on me. You could have fit 3 of me in this thing. But I put it on, and Francesco didn't know what we were doing
upstairs, like downstairs.
He didn't come. He didn't come to go get money with us. So I came and I just told him, have the camera ready, and we'll add this little section too, just a little me entering into the to the apartment. Passports. We have our 2 communist outfits. We gotta get in here together.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. You see this? You see this beauty that I am in? You gotta get the close-up of the hat too. But so I entered into the apartment just wearing this communist hat and gear and stuff, and we thought that would be it. I mean, that was already a lot. I mean, it was already such a nice thing for him to do. He had no obligation to do this for us. We hadn't even been nice yet. We'd just been normal. Yeah. But when we checked into his apartment, he was late to come and get us downstairs, and he said, "I'm coming immediately." Yeah. He'd been really hungover from the night before, and I texted back, "Listen, man, we have no rush. Take your time. We're just gonna have a beer down here. If you need 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever." And because we'd written that one politeness, he'd said that, nobody did that. Everybody who'd rented from him was always so demanding and always so mean if he wasn't, there immediately whenever they arrived, that he wanted to do something nice for us in return. And I guess that kindness kept begetting kindness, because now that we hadn't considered that a nice thing, that was just the norm. I mean, that was the truth of our day. We really didn't need to get into that apartment very quickly. So we viewed him letting us wear that communist costume as a huge kindness. So we wanted to be nice in return, which I guess is the basis of friendships. So we were as nice to him as we could possibly be. We told him, just like we tell everyone we like, we'll put your contact information for your apartment into our video.
We'll let him fly the drone.
Let him fly the drone, all that stuff. Just politeness. And because of that, on the day that we were leaving, he said, well, do you want to go see something really special? And he didn't tell us what that was, but we said we weren't going back to Tirana, and he started sort of getting upset, freaking out a little bit, saying like, oh no, you have to go to Tirana. I've got something for you that you need to go see. Yeah. So even though we were supposed to go down south to Saranda that day, instead we said, all right, well, we'll trust you. I'm sure you got something going on. And he drove us back to Tirana and took us to his uncle's garage, which has probably the largest collection of communist paraphernalia in Albania right now.
If not in the world.
Certainly of Albanian communist
absolutely.
paraphernalia.
Oh,
yeah, in the world. It's full of motorcycles, it's full of old cars,
everything.
Chinese trucks, various things that were sent here throughout the communist period.
And you'll see them in the videos, honestly.
It's got guns. Yeah, you'll see them in the videos because we filmed everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see them in the videos because we can't find that stuff elsewhere. We search for all these things, but you can barely film in the museums here. The one museum we really want to film in, they won't let us take the camera in, the Secret Police Museum, despite a 30-minute debate with the director of the place.
Fun.
So because it's so hard to find that stuff, not just because it's unique, but because in the places where it isn't unique, you're almost never allowed to film. This was the blessing of this trip. We would have never got that type of stuff.
Never.
If not for him. So just that simple kindness to him, the simple kindness in return, the build-up, got us to the point where our videos were infinitely better for the privilege. And because of that kindness, we are now connected with him. He WhatsApps me every day. He's probably going to come back tonight or tomorrow to Tirana to have beers with us, just because we've made friends with him now. And I even suspect I'll probably meet up with his uncle when I get back to Toronto, because his uncle happens to live in Toronto, where I'm from. So we have built a connection with this person in hours through the commerce of renting their place, and it's worked out for everybody in such a really nice way.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the point of this now long episode that I said wasn't going to be rambly, but has been rambly.
Make friends.
Make friends. Go through the effort. And not just that, but don't be afraid. Use your best judgment. Know that there are 5% bad people out there, but also understand that the 95% of other people are just like you. And as excited as you are when someone from Ireland, for example, wants to learn about your country whenever you meet them, the people in other countries are often feeling the same way about yourself. So treat them that way.
Yeah, and just, take it easy as we did that day.
Yeah, take it easy.
Because what really took us there, for example, with our geese, was just, being nice and being like, no, we're not in a rush, Because really, all the people that are demanding to him are not in a rush. All they want is just...
But they're not treating him as a human.
Yeah,
he's a robot who checks them into the apartment, right?
They're just being...
I guess the core is treat people like they're human.
Yeah, yes.
Treat people like they're human, because they are human. And even if you don't speak their language, even if their English is absolutely atrocious, your Khmer, your Albanian, whatever it may be, is probably atrocious too. And it's really easy when you don't understand the language to imagine somebody's dangerous or rude or dumb, and they're not. They're just not understanding you.
No.
But if you go out of your way, people will be great to you in return.
And you'll understand each other, no question.
And you'll figure it out, and it will make your life better. It's made our lives better.
Absolutely.
It's how we make this series work.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't do it without people like Ergiz. So Ergiz, if you watch this, Alejandro, if you watch this, you guys have been fantastic friends. I hope to continue being friends well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.